Hey guys, so in this video we'll be continuing our previous tutorial and I'll be showing you all how to add the logo that is on the t-shirt and the tattoo on the arm. Now what we'll do is that we'll go back to the original images that we had. So I'll select these two layers, I'll bring it back out. I'll put the displacement map layer inside archive and I'll hide it. And now what we'll do is that we'll create the Supreme logo that we want to place on the t-shirt. So to do that, the first thing we'll do is that we'll create a rectangle. So select the rectangle tool right here. I'll remove the boundary or the stroke by clicking here and clicking on this icon. And I'll give a fill which is red in color. I'll click V to select the move tool on my keyboard, and now I can move this across wherever I want. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create the text. So I'll create the text tool from here. And I'll change its color to white by selecting it with Ctrl A. Then I'll go to color here and select the white color. And then again I'll select the move tool and I'll try and move it on the rectangle and adjust it in the center. And yeah, I think this looks good. Now the next step that we need to do is that we need to remove the white color of the Supreme from the image. So what I'll do is first I'll combine the rectangle and Supreme into one and convert it into a smart object. So I'll select both the layers and I'll right click and I'll say convert to smart object. But if you want to make any changes to the layer, what you have to do is that you can click on this icon, double click on the icon, and it will take you to the original layers that were there. And now you can make the changes you want. So now what we'll do is that we'll double click on the text field, so that we'll get a layer style dialog box, and here under blending options we'll select shallow under knockout, and you will see that there is no change that has actually happened. But if I reduce the fill opacity, you will see that the text field that was there has now become transparent, but it does have a stencil kind of a layout embedded into the rectangle. If I click OK, and now if I save the smart object, and if I go back to my original file, you will see that that effect was applied, and now since the text field was transparent, we can see through it and we can see the t-shirt. Now it's very important to save the smart object file before coming back, otherwise the effect won't be applied. Now to warp this logo around the t-shirt, what we need to do is first go to filter, and if your object isn't already a smart object, you convert it into a smart object and you go to distort and displace. Here you will have two text fields, the horizontal scale and the vertical scale. And the more you increase the number, the more the original logo will try to warp around the t-shirt. But if you increase it too much, it will become pixelated. So already 30 seems a lot, but it should do for this logo because this logo was created on Photoshop itself, and so it won't pixelate even if we make changes to it, unless we increase it to a very high number around the hundreds. Then I'll select stretch to fit and repeat edge pixels, and I'll click OK. When I do that, it will ask me to select a Photoshop file. In this case we'll select DM because that was the displacement map we had created, and I click on open, and then the displacement filter will apply. And you can see that the logo has tried to warp itself around the t-shirt, and if you feel that the warp isn't enough or it's not looking good, then you can change the value of displacement. So you can see that since it is a smart object, it has created a smart filter, and you can always double click on a smart filter and you can change its values. If I double click on this, the dialog box will appear and I can just change the values and I can try and fit it more. So probably if I go 35 on both, I click OK. Again, I'll have to select the displacement map and say open, and again it will apply the filter. And if you want to move this logo, so you can't just move the logo and have the displacement filter apply. If you want to move the logo and have the displacement filter apply, first you need to transform the logo. So if you press Ctrl T and click OK, now you can transform the logo. So yeah, like this. But I think the previous position was good, so I just press Ctrl Z and it will come back to the previous place. Now the next step that we need to do is that we need to add the tattoo. So what I'll do is that I'll import the tattoo. So before I make the selection and try and remove the white part of the image, I'll increase the contrast of the image so that the selection I make is better. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll go to image, I'll go to adjustment, I'll go to levels, and just get the bars further away from the edges so that it will increase the contrast in the image. So now what I'll do is that I'll select the part I want, but before I do that, what you can see is that the effect that I had using the levels was created using a smart object, and in a smart object the selection becomes confusing. So what I'll do is that I'll rasterize this layer. So if I right click on this layer and I click on rasterize layer, so before I make the selection of the tattoo, what I'll do is that I'll hide the layers in the background, because the selection method I'll be going with is color range, and color range will select any color that is present on any layer. And then what we need to do is that we need to click on the place we want to select. So since I want to select the black layer, I'll click on that and I'll increase the fuzziness, because you can see that even in the tattoo there are still places which have not been selected. The places which have not been selected are represented by the black color. If I increase the fuzziness, you can see that the areas which were not selected are now being selected properly. And you increase it till the point you think the selections have been made properly. And now I can click OK. And now I can even make my layers which were hidden before appear again. And now what I need to do, I don't want to select this 10 pieces part here. So I'll be going to the marquee tool. I select the option here which says subtract from selection and draw over it. And it will unselect that part of the image. And now I can click on this button here which will mask out the tattoo from the whole image. And you can see that now we have a very good and clean selection of the tattoo. But at this point it doesn't seem like a tattoo, it just seems like a photo that I might have placed on the main image. So again we'll have to displace this tattoo as well. Now that I've adjusted the tattoo the way I want, what I'll do is that I'll create a smart object out of this layer as well. I'll right click and I'll convert it into a smart object. Now what I need to do is that I need to displace this tattoo as well. So I'll go to filter, go to distort, click on displace. I'll probably reduce the horizontal and vertical scale, because since this is the image we have taken from outside, it will start distorting at very high values. So I'll probably keep it at 12. Keep it at stretch to fit, repeat edge pixels and click on OK. Select the displacement map file. So it still looks very incomplete because the tattoo is not only warping around the hand but also with the background. So we'll mask out the background from this image. So if I just click on add layer mask, I can mask out the layer using the brush tool. So selecting the brush tool, if I increase the size and selecting the black color from here, if I just go over this area, you can see that it's masking out the places which I don't want in the image. Make sure that your hardness isn't too low. Keep the hardness at around between 80 and 90. And now I can bring back the places which I lost while removing the tattoo. So if I just select the white color as my foreground color right here, so you can see now we can have a tattoo on the shoulder and it looks more realistic than it looked before. If you want to, you can reduce the opacity. I think it might make it look even better than before. And the Supreme logo, you can even add levels or a saturation adjustment to it if you feel that the red is too bright, and you can reduce the saturation of it a little bit. Just make sure that you have clipped the saturation layer to the Supreme text layer. And yeah, I think this looks very close to our original image as well. So yeah, I think this is it for this video, and see you next time.